wabarakatuh. Under the auspices of the Dean of the College of Education for Women and Dr. Ishaq Al-Akkam and the supervision of the head of the Department of English, Ms. Maha Qahtan. We have the pleasure to welcome you to our second seminar, Diversity and Challenges in English Language. 8 presenters of our departments will cover us with their distinct topics that we will all enjoy and benefit from. But before we start, I'd like to remind myself and my colleagues about the time. Please aware that the limited time for each presenter is only 10 minutes. Take care of that, please. Now, the first presenter is Dr. Lina. Dr. Lina, yes. The first presenter is Dr. Lina. She is an associate prof at the Department of English. She has a PhD degree in linguistics from the College of Arts. She is interested in discourse analysis. Please, Dr. Lina, have the floor and start your topic entitled Scientific News Headline in Online Newspapers. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, my colleagues. I'd like today to share with you my paper about the scientific news headlines. It is published in the Journal of College of Education for Women. I'd like you to share it with me today. I wish that it would be nice for you and you will get benefit from it. Today, I have to discuss my paper, Information Structure Analysis of Online Scientific News Headlines. Of course, most of us know that newspaper headlines are somehow complicated in its structure. It is designed just to get the reader's attention in order to go more and read the whole article concerning this title or this headline. Let's start with my abstract. Newspaper headlines are described as compressed and ambiguous pieces of discourse that represent the bodies of the articles. Their main function is to provide the readers with an informative message they would have no prior idea about. Ifantido, 2009, claims that the function of the headline is to get the reader's attention rather than providing information, because it doesn't have to represent the whole of the article it refers to. This paper aims at examining this hypothesis in relation to the scientific news headlines reported by a number of news agencies. The paper follows Halliday 1967 information structure theory by applying it on 10 selected headlines. Each 2 headlines represent one scientific discovery reported by different news agencies. The first one of them is represented by the most popular news agency on science, National Geographic. Then it is compared to one of the well-known news agencies also, like BBC, Reuters, or Yahoo News. The results showed that scientific news headlines are more informative than being just catchy headlines. It is also found that National Geographic News Agency is more informative than any other agency because it is specialized in science. It's already specialized in science. It is concluded that the more new information units a headline includes, the less ambiguous it is for the readers. Then we have the language. We have to know something about the language of headlines. Most of the language of headlines characterized by a number of properties, linguistic properties, in terms of certain levels. Language of headlines as an important part of the reporter's job, catching the reader's eye and attention, needs to follow certain linguistic techniques in terms of different linguistic levels. For example, in terms of the graphological level of linguistics, usually you can see that headlines are usually written with a special font size, style, and size. They are always presented in the uppercase letters with a special kind of punctuation. As long as the reporters have no enough time and space to present headlines, they use various strategies like abbreviations, acronyms, clipping, etc., in order to shorten the units of their headlines. They have to compress the information they send to the reader, whose role is to infer the whole message. Reporters usually abbreviate words to save time and space, like using the word polls for indicating politicians, and they use Dems to indicate Democrats. A second level of characteristics of headlines language is the phonological one. Usually, most of the headlines are designed or written with certain rhythm that is will be very smoothly for the hearer's mind and understanding. Another level, we have the grammatical level of linguistics. Also, there are certain grammatical units that are already missed in the headlines. For example, is or verb to be are always omitted, or any other things, just for the same purpose that we want to save space and effort. Also, we have on the level of lexical level of the lexical linguistics, we have the reporters often replace the long words with their synonymous shorter ones. For example, in order to say quiz, in order to say interrogative, they usually say quiz. Another thing I want to mention, I just don't want to make the theory very clear for you, because it will be very long. But now I want to explain it for you, that there are some samples of the scientific news headlines. As long as they are scientific, they have to have certain property of facts. So I can't put it in the form of ambiguous form. And at the same time, I have to make them informative as possible. Okay, so in terms of the holiday theory, holiday see discourse that it is a message sent from the writer or the speaker to the hearer or the reader. So this message should contain given units of information and the new units of information. The given units of information, that the piece of information that we are all already know something about it. But the new one is the thing that we have no idea about it at all. Let's start with our first sample of analyzing scientific news headlines. Here we have the same fact discovery in this picture, but with different news agencies. The first one, for example, is by National Geographic, and the second one is by Yahoo Newser. And both of them have different ways of presenting the scientific news. For example, by National Geographic, we have a new chicken from hell, this dinosaurs found. As for the Newser, weird Chicken from Hell, Dinosaur Lived. In this case, both of them can be analyzed in terms of the holiday theory, and the first one, A New Chicken from Hell, which is from National Geographic, it has 3 points of new informative units. The first one is signaled by the word new, from hell, and found. And the given units are chicken and dinosaurs. We have already have an idea or background knowledge about chicken and dinosaurs. As for the user, weird chicken from hell, dinosaurs lived. Weird and from hell are the two new informative units, and the given one is also chicken and dinosaurs. Another point is another discovery is by newfound Earth-size exoplanet doomed by National Geographic, and by Reuters, Earth-like a planet discovered, but it's hotter than 3 dots and hell. Now we have another analysis for these two compared scientific news headlines. We have the first one by National Geographic, a newfound Earth-size exoplanet doomed. We have 4 informative units that are new, and it is sometimes called focus, a newfound Earth-size exoplanet doomed. And we have only one given unit of information, which is Earth, that we have all already know about it. Earth-like a planet, we have 4 new information given rather than given. The given is the 3 units of information. Earth-like, so we have a planet that it is like Earth, and it is discovered newly, and it is hotter than hell. So here, hotter is added, a piece of information that is added rather than National Geographic. Finally, I just want to focus on the way that the agencies express a fact. Fact cannot be designed in different ways, and facts, especially scientific facts, it cannot be ambiguous. How they design headlines, how they present headlines in order to catch the reader's attention. In this case, it is concluded that the shortness of scientific news headlines doesn't make them ambiguous, because the informative units that are found in each headline carries an informative message that cannot represent the whole of the article it refers to. The application of holiday theory has a valuable role in classifying each news headlines into given and a new unit of information. It can be shown how the readers can match between what they already know from their background knowledge about a subject and what they newly know as the last update unit of information. This matching process will help the readers to disambiguate any headline. It is also found that the scientific news reported by National Geographic as being specialized in scientific news are more informative than any other agencies, because it is sometimes carries more than one informative new units. Thus, it is concluded that scientific news headlines are more informative than to be considered as an attention attractor, and the more information unit found in headlines, the less ambiguous they will be for the reader. Thank you very much, and I wish you get benefit from this piece of information.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lina.
You are
Now,
welcome.
Now, Associate Prof. Ms. Maysa Rashid is welcome to present her topic, Investigating EFL Skills used by Iraqi college students. Ms. Maysa has an MA in Methods of Teaching from the College of Education for Women, Department of Educational and Psychological Science. Yes, please, Ms. Maysa.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Fatma, for your presentation. The title for my research paper, Investigating EFL Skills Used by Iraqi College Students. Introduction. Learning English language skills plays the essential role in improving college students' performance in both the recognition and the production fields. Besides, English language is an international language and it is considered to be as the major window to the world. Reading and listening are described as the receptive skills, whereas writing and speaking are considered to be the productive skills. Receptive and productive skills are called as communication skills. The former skills are these in which students receive and process the information but do not produce the language, while the latter skills request production only like conversation. Iraqi students are not good at English language in general and learning the four skills in particular. Although most students studied English in a primary school.
Sorry, Ms. Maysa. You didn't present on the screen. You don't have. Yes, please.
Sorry.
Okay.
Now you can see the PowerPoint, Ms. Fatma?
Yes, it's clear. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Sorry. Iraqi students are not good at English in general, and learning the four skills in particular. Although most students studied English in primary schools, the problem is unsolved matter in our country, Iraq, because of our old teaching methods and curriculum used in schools previously, which focused on grammatical rules, memorization, and practice exercises only. That is to say, teaching by the audiolingual method. The main emphasis by teachers of English was based on one skill, grammar, whereas the four skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, were less emphasized. Therefore, students can be clearly seen, sorry. In the communicative, here they have problems in the communicative skills usage. The objective of this study, I have two objectives: determining the English skills that most frequently used by EFL college students according to their frequencies, and discovering the difficulties that are related to speaking, listening, and reading skills for the college students. The limitation of the study: students in fourth year at the Department of English Language, College of Education for Women, University of Baghdad during the academic year 2016-2017. The description and administration of the questionnaire. To achieve the objectives of the study, a questionnaire is adapted to be a tool of collecting information about students' levels in English language. The researcher adapts a questionnaire to compare the data obtained. It includes the three skills: listening, speaking, and reading, excluding writing, as it is adapted from NCLRC 2012, page 14 and 15. It consists of 16 items divided into 8 items for measuring speaking, 4 items for measuring listening, 4 items for measuring reading. Students are asked to write each statement from often, frequently, occasionally, rarely, and never. according to the frequency of use. It is worth to mention that often receive 5 points and never receive only 1 point. The questionnaire is applied on 60 college students during December 2016. The results here are obtained from the data statistically. It's proved that students use the skills with weighted mean score of more than 3. All the items are strong ones. I choose some of the items which have got the highest mean score. For example, the item number 4, I focus on topics that I know how to talk about and I use language structure I am familiar with, so that others can understand me. This ranked the first and gained 4.362, which means the speaking skill acquired by college students, and they use techniques of speaking and select the subject that can speak in it to be understood by others. Also, the item, when I read something, I can figure out the main idea of the text, have got the second score, the mean 4.12. This item related to reading skill, and the results proved college students are good readers to receive and understand the main idea of what they read. The item after I speak, I rate how well I did. Also, it gained the highest scores, 4.086. Among the other skills, students have high confidence to communicate and assess their speech using self-assessment techniques to master this area as much as possible. Also, I have 14 and 6. And by this, I conclude, based on the results of the present study, the conclusions can be summed up as follows. 1, students started to improve their skills depending on themselves. 2, the performance of students in speaking skill is better than the other skills. 3, the English skills are acquired by English foreign language students because of using new methods in EFL teaching and internet resources. And finally, 4, the effect of updating techniques such as self-assessment, peer assessment can be clearly noticed in improving students' performance in both speaking and listening skills. And thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maysa. The presenter now is a famous figure from our department. She has published and translated several valuable works, and she has been awarded for them. She is now a PhD candidate at Al Mustansiriya University. Please, Ms. Khalida, you are welcome to present your topic, the challenge of recognizing diversity in translation.
Thank you, dear Mrs. Fatma, for this warm introduction. Assalamu alaikum, dear guest. Sorry for this. As always, I'm going to present my lecture. Okay, the title of my presentation is The Challenge of Recognizing Diversity in Translation. And this is the outline. To start with, translation is indispensable in our everyday life for its being the most diverse means and the central part of human communication. In these days of globalization and widespread immigration, the need of translation is increasing due to the continuous expansion of trade, science, culture, technology, and so on. It becomes a bridge to cope the gap of the culture and language diversity among people. In fact, the importance of translation has been felt by different scholars. For instance, in literature, as you know, Octavio Paz, or it is sometimes pronounced in Arabic as Octavio Paz, the most famous Mexican writer and poet, he says that the history of the different civilizations is the history of their translations. Each civilization, as each soul, is different, unique. Translation is our way to face this otherness of the universe and history. The famous translation scholar, Susan Bassett Maguire, says that there has never been a better time to study translations. From being a marginal activity outside of linguistics, at the edges of literary studies, translation is now being reconsidered, and its fundamental importance in intercultural transfer processes is becoming more apparent. So, in this diverse world, in this world of diversity and globalization, what is the effect of this phenomenon on translation? In this diglossic and polyglossic world, the relation among various languages in use is typically sensitive, as different speech communities attach different values to their respective languages or language varieties, thus culminating in language ideologies. Moreover, translation is a textual and discursive practice embedded in competing cultural identities and language ideologies. It is the site through which we can observe the operations and implications of language power. Moreover, researchers have come to contextualize bilingual practices in ideologically charged environments where translation is seen as a contested zone that negotiates power relations between two or more languages representing different and sometimes conflicting sociocultural identities. As a result of these changes and developments, translation is considered as a rewriting, to the extent that rewriting of the source text and culture in the process of translation. Translators themselves have received a new role. They are no longer linguistic messengers. Instead, translators they are considered as cultural mediators, and they become active cultural agents as opposed to passive scribes. And as you know, the manipulation school by which translation or the ideology in the translation plays a vital role. So, new kinds of translation activity generate new professions, which in turn lead to the origin of new disciplines and fields of translation research, and thus to the expansion of translation studies itself. The traditional understanding of what translation consists in is being replaced now by modern dynamic interpretations, according to which translation pushes the prior limits of text and opens up to new modalities and new research avenues. The new analysis centers on the transdisciplinarity of translation. In fact, this diagram shows how translation becomes transdiscipline or interdiscipline. As you see, these are different disciplines related to translation. We have literary studies, language engineering, machine translation, cultural studies, linguistics, semiotics, etc., and philosophy and hermeneutics. Therefore, diversified ranges of translated text are generated, and numerous new combinations of language pairs and modalities, such as surtitling, which means the translation of the opera titles, emerge. Diversity and translation have resulted in a great technical growth. So, what are the consequences of this diversity? What are the effects of diversity on translation studies? We have here this move from translation as being for language learning or teaching environment as being the fifth skill of language learning to a scholarly inter or trans discipline. From one language pair to multilingual settings, from language specific to abstract and translingual, from text to image and sound, and the semiotic shift, from direct verbal communication, etc. From exclusive to the word without barriers for people with disabilities, a shift towards accessibility studies. For example, we have audio description and audiovisual translation. from general and literal translation to specialized and specific. For example, we have game localization. So, to conclude, translation has become a contested zone for portraying the ideological positioning and observing the operations and implications of language power. There is something inherently problematic about translation in respect to the language power relations that exist in this diverse and multilingual world. With the advancement of particular branches of knowledge, the kind, level, and scope of specialized field of translation are growing and expand. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Khalida. Now the presenter is me. Okay, I am a staff member at the College of Education for Women, Department of English. I have an MA degree from the College of Languages. My topic is pedagogical stylistics as a tool in the classroom. What's wrong? Okay. Okay. Now, my work paper is a practical experience that I carried out 2 years ago on my students. Before we start discussing the topic, we need to know what is pedagogical stylistics. It is a new trend that is concerned with teaching stylistics in the classroom. It is used to enhance the students' awareness of the language used in their text. Well, most teachers assume that learning literature cannot be tested. Yani it's enough for students to learn literature theoretically without applying any practical tools on literature. But some stylisticians does not agree to this assumption, and they try to put a systemic way to equip students with stylistic tools and help them to improve their experimental skills in learning literature. I assume myself as one of these statisticians, and I try to apply or to use pedagogical stylistics in teaching literary text. Then I put this procedure to complete the requirements of the study. Okay. First, the students are asked to interpret and analyze a poem to check their literary awareness. They depend only on their background knowledge and experience. The next step is to teach them the main stylistic devices like figure of speech, parallelism, foregrounding, deviation in poetry, and what is the role of stylistics in understanding literary works. The last step is to ask the students to analyze the same poem using the stylistic tools they studied. The results of the pre-tests. The pre-test, of course, we make the pre-test before teaching them the stylistic tools. Yani we ask them to analyze the poem depending on their knowledge. The results showed that all students have no idea about what a stylistic analysis is. I noted that students carried a literary criticism, as they used to do in their literature, in their lectures, literary lectures. But they did not come across the rhyme, rhythm of the poem, nor they refer to the figure of speech, linguistic features, and the images used in the poem. They neglect all these. They only criticize the poem literally. But after teaching the students how to analyze, or when we present the stylistic tools for them, and we ask them to apply or to use these stylistic tools on in analyzing the poem, the result is very different. While reviewing the student achievements in the post-test, we noted that the students' awareness of using stylistic tools has been improved. Most of them tackled the poem. The title of the poem is London. They tackle it from a stylistic viewpoint rather than literary one, as they did in the pre-test. They analyze the poem and they concentrate on lexical, graphological, grammatical, phonological levels, detecting most unusual uses and forms of the language, and especially the deviation of these levels. We conclude that the study brings the students' attention to crucial elements of literary language, especially poetry. Based on the results collected from pre-test and post-test, it is very obvious that students' analysis contain aspects of both aesthetic language and their literary intuitions. Most of the students agreed that stylistics is helpful in studying literature. Then pedagogical stylistics enable the student to analyze poems in a systemic way based on textual evidences. Thank you very much. We have another presenter. The floor now is for Dr. Shada Naif. Shada Naif has a PhD from Nottingham University, and now she is a staff member at the Department of English at the College of Education for Women. Her topic is entitled Getting Wires Crossed, CL and CDA. Yes, please, Doctor. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sid Fatma. Please let me know if you can see my screen at the moment.
Now we don't see it.
Yes. Okay, I guess now you do. I guess you do now, right?
Yes, it's starting. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, welcome everyone to my session, and in this presentation we aim to see ways in which we can combine corpus linguistics and critical discourse analysis methodologies in research design. Basically, we know that CDA sheds light on how framing occur in text, and even before corpus linguistics became the mainstream, CDA examines framings in single text, and with the spread of corpus linguistics, now it's possible to provide an analysis that can reflect a whole corpus rather than one single text. So if you look at my example here, money everywhere, if we think of money being, spread everywhere, of course we will not be able, because money is one source of power, and then it is again a source of inequality in society. So imagine if I'm very rich and everybody is rich, so I want to send my children to school, and no teachers are there because they are already rich. And if I need to have my breakfast, there are no no bakeries, because everybody is rich and no one has to work. So inequality is essential sometimes in a society, and we want to establish that bias in research. It would be, I'm giving money as an example, but you know, there are in society there are several examples where we can reflect upon this strategy. If you look at this figure, if you see CDA is interested in the arrows, the yellow arrows, we might be interested in these areas, but in single or small amounts of text. But with corpus linguistics, we could focus on the several texts. So in this presentation, we will provide an example of how immigrants are realized linguistically in media discourse. If we look at this these concordance lines, and we can see that concordances here provide the representation of a certain linguistic item, but you know, across one whole bundle of text. And here concordances can provide us with reveal patterns and the sense of what regular readers will be exposed to. So a dominant pattern here can reflect the ideological predisposition of the author. So we identified several items and several patterns, and we try to make use of corpus investigation in identifying these patterns where we see ideology being laid in, and we can infer these ideologies through cultural keywords. By cultural keywords, we mean words that are, you know, salient in one culture. So that requires inferential contributions, and here we will focus on sentence structure, because sentence structure can have an effect on inferences that we generate as readers around cultural keywords. So text structures here, we will focus on why text structures rather than something else. As for the keys, we find this is not the keywords we identified. These are not significant ones, because not surprising, because we would expect in such kind of discourse, we would expect immigrants to be salient and EU against salient, but we will find other words which are more significant. If we find here that the dispersion of plot of other keywords, we find said, but, who, yesterday. But what calls for attention here is the word but, because it has, you know, closer connection with sentence structures, because it signals contradictions. So the significance of but here, it signals contrastive relations across, and thus creates text structure, and it has a prominence. It begins in a sentence which initiate a paragraph, and then it can provide significant insights. Its investigation can provide significant insights. So we find keyness links, and we try to identify other keywords associated with but across 25 words to the left and to the right of the word, and then we could identify these patterns, semantic patterns. So here we've got this pattern, which is like the this is, by the way, from O'Halloran's study. This pattern was, you see, occurred one pattern, but it occurred 18 times across 6 weeks of reports, newspaper reports, and you see how that reflects a realistic picture of the representation of the word, rather than having one text in one time. So that's through this I want to convince you of the significance of crossing the lines and trying to building bridges that fills the gap between corpus linguistics and CDH. If you see this pattern, for example, where there is a reflection on the UK incompetence in dealing with dilemmas. So you see with but here, but others, if you see this sentence, this is an extract from the new newspaper, but others put figures as high as 54 due to high unemployment. Here we see the contrast here. The but here begins a sentence which contrasts with the UK perspective. If we look at the second pattern, then it occurs 8 times, and you see here the ideological implication of the newspaper. The Sun welcomes Blair's assurance that he will keep a tight grip on immigration. If we go to but, then you see but the PM faces a huge challenge. This casts doubt on Blair's assurance, because yes, you're saying this, but we are not very convinced that you are going to face this, because it's a huge challenge, because thousands are heading for Britain. The third pattern, again, where both projects a number of EU immigrants arriving to the UK, and here this indicates, this pattern indicates through the negative contracts provided by both that this will lead to overstretched social services. Thousands of plane, train, bus seats had been snapped up last night, but poor EU seeking a better life in Britain. They are free to come here. You see, free to come. When we say free to come, this reflects the ideology, the attitude of the author, where yes, you are letting them in. You say you don't like them, you don't like them being here, but you provide them with the freedom, because you should have guards on the borders. So no newcomers will, come and live in the UK. So they are free to come here when 10 new countries joined the European this Saturday. So joining the EU was again a dilemma that was, that led to the immigrants' rise in the UK. So here, but it is feared that in some areas overstretched UK services like school, hospitals will be unable to cope with the influx. If you see these patterns, I'm not going to waste a lot of time to spend a lot of time on these patterns, but if you see how these patterns reflect or provide a picture of one whole corpus that extends over 6 weeks of the Sun report, and you see how getting the wires across between these two methodologies has helped us provide reduce researchers' bias and provide a clearer picture and complete picture of what the text is all about. So we find both in the corpus to indicate positive evaluation in certain and again in 36 semantic patterns, it signals negative contrast in relation to predictions about future in the UK. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shada. I'm afraid Dr. Wafa cannot join us today. She apologizes for some special circumstances. Now, let's welcome Ms. Sura Mutlaq to present her topic, Classroom Challenges. Sura Mutlaq is an instructor of linguistics at the Department of English, College of Education for Women. Her major research interests involve English studies and applied linguistics. Yes, please, Ms. Sura.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum assalam.
My topic is entitled Classroom Challenge. It's talking about some challenges that we face. Please, Ms. Fatma.
Yes, Sura. Yes, Ms. Sura.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It appears clearly here.
Okay. My topic is talking about some classroom challenges. Classroom challenges are one of the adequate problems faced by teachers, and a good teacher has the courage to overcome all these challenges bravely. With education worldwide being thrown into chaos by coronavirus, more and more educators are being forced to teach their students from home. You might not have signed up for distance teaching, but in true teacher style, it's time to throw the lesson plan out the window and make the best of a bad situation. To get your prepared, you have got the rundown on some challenges of distance teaching and the strategies you need to navigate them with confidence. The first one is isolation. Isolation is learning from home can be lonely. Without the buzz of the classroom setting and the company of their peers, it is no surprise that some students can begin to feel a strong sense of isolation that slowly destroyed their desire to learn. Despite what they say, many students will find that they miss colleagues and college and the schools when the alternative is to be desk-bound at home. Isolation can also undermine many of the instructional strategies that we take for granted in our classrooms. Group work, class discussion, and collaborative activity can disappear from the program entirely if we are not careful, and with them go the associated levels of students' engagement and rich learning that those experiences provide. Thankfully, there are a few things you can do to maintain the classroom dynamic and keep things personable in a digital environment. Here's a few. Coordinate virtual group activities using chats, discussion boards, or cloud tools for collaboration. Show your face and let students hear your voice using video or audio recordings. Don't let yourself become a robot who only communicates via text. Schedule regular check-ins with students via email or chat. If you have the capacity, pay attention to those at risk of disengagement in particular. The second one or the next one, lack of motivation in online learners. As hard as distance teaching might be for us, it is likely even harder for our students. They have gone from classrooms explicitly designed to support learning to bedrooms at kitchen tables where distractions are plentiful and expert support isn't always on hand. It is no surprise that more than a few will be tempted to opt out. Clear measurable goals or the best source of motivation. Set them regularly so that students have something to focus on instead of setting an open-ended task and leaving them to it, as can be the temptation when you aren't in the same room clearly specified. The time students should spend on the desk, a measurable outcome, a means of accountability. These need to be onto our shared platform so that everyone else can see. A due date. Technical difficulties with online teaching tools. Assess whether your students have reliable access to technology before you even start. Not every home will always have a reliable internet connection or a readily available device for students to use. It is also important to remember that for all the talk of our students being digital natives, many of them aren't that proficient when it comes to tackling unfamiliar software or using in a responsible manner. An introductory session for students is therefore a good idea. Time-consuming resources. When you can no longer just stand in front of your class and teach, you have to rely on resources to do the job for you, and those take time to create. Even your verbal instructions will have to be translated into crystal clear within documents that all students can access and understand. It is a bit like planning a relief lesson for a day off. With all the time that goes into planning material for someone else to transfer, you need up thinking. It would require less effort to just take the class yourself. Recording your own instruction and posting it online, as with a flipped classroom, is one way of avoiding the conflict, although be aware that the technical dimensions of this take time as well. My conclusion is that students aren't the only ones who might feel dimensioned accountably in a distant education setting. It can be a struggle for teachers too. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sura.
Thank you.
Sometimes Arabic serves more than English. We used to say in Arabic ختامها مسك. Well, let's welcome Ms. Isra to introduce her tutorial presentation, Interactive e-learning tools. We are eager to learn from you how to teach or how to use the new tools that you will present in your paper. Thank you very much, Isra. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Miss, for your great introduction. Good evening, professors. And today we will, I made a small presentation that I will gladly share it with you. You can use it as a mini course to discover the potential of virtual, interactive, free online tools to use with your students. I'll start with my presentation now. So the interactive online tools I'm using today, Google Slides and Edpuzzle. Now, when it comes to Google Slides, it's one of the great free online apps where you can avoid death by PowerPoint. Death by PowerPoint is one of the trending phrases where writers talk about how to avoid or strive against the dullness pandemic. Dr. Rana talked about it previously. Now, when it comes to presentation, whenever you use limited number of words with great pictures and great audio or embedded hyperlinks and videos, your audience is probably going to be more engaged. The first presentation tool I want to talk about today is Google Slides. When it comes to Google Slides, it's great for teamwork. If you have a project with a friend, definitely, I don't recommend using PowerPoint. I would definitely use Google Slides because both of you can work at the same time to improve your slides. Now, every one of us has a Google Slides app. It's there. Whenever you log in into your Gmail account, you can go to your account and then press on the apps button and then choose Slides. That way you can move to Google Slides. Now, when it comes to Google Slides, the great thing about it is that you don't have the malfunctions that we might encounter when we use PowerPoint presentations. When we use PowerPoint presentations, it's always going to be a problem when it comes to sharing, clutches, lagging, all of that kind of stuff. But as you have seen, when it comes to PowerPoint, you always have this great kind of audio effects, the great visuals. I mean, Google Slides, you can use the following. When you have something, just a topic or whatever you want to talk about, just write the title and then go to Explore and pick a layout that can fit your topic. So I go there, I pick a blank slide, then I'll write ideas, for example, or whatever. Then I'm presented with different layouts. This layout is not built in. For example, that one with the girl on the mountain, it's not there, but I've just got it from Explore. It is similar to design ideas on PowerPoint, but okay, it's a little bit dull, but it's better than nothing. Now, the great thing about Google Slides is hyperlinks. You can turn your PowerPoint presentation into a living being by doing what? For example, when you want to introduce your students to a new term, let's say wade through, okay? And you need a dictionary page there. They don't need to go into the dictionary and check it out. They just click on that word and they will be immediately directed to the web page, the dictionary page, or just by hovering over it and clicking it, you will get the meaning immediately. Now, images. When it comes to images, if you are not interested in copyright issues, you can steal any image online. You just go there and you need to go and search the web for an image. You will get it there. Search for images. Let's say that I want a thief or something else, whatever you need, you will get it there. If you don't have time, it's there. And you can also use Explore. And from within Explore, you can just check images. And this image, the image itself, you can change it. You can simply mask it, change it into something else. For example, I want this shape instead of that one. It will become like that. You're free to do whatever you like when it comes to Google Slides. It's efficient, it's fast. You can insert any images without leaving the app. And there's also this thing. I mean, embedding videos. I need videos almost all the time. I need videos in my presentations. Sorry about this thing. Okay, but we have copyright issues. So what do? Instead of asking students to go to external links to check out YouTube videos, they can watch it within the app without leaving the app. This way we'll avoid distraction. And again, I can explain things to you as a student, for example, and without the speaker's voice. So that way, I think I need to finish early, okay? Now, that way we will avoid copyright issues. I'll move on to Edpuzzle. Now, why do I need an Edpuzzle account? I definitely need it. As a college professor, I definitely need that one. When it comes to grammar, especially teaching grammar, easily, I just type in the tense, whatever topic in grammar I need. I'll place it there within the search box and see what other teachers are presenting. So the teacher here selected a video from YouTube. Okay, she selected the video from YouTube and she added what? How many? Eight questions, 8 different questions. All of them, she picked multiple choice questions. I can edit this assignment. I can change the questions. She picked a great video, an interesting one, a really interesting one. I can edit the name. I can edit the question, change those questions. You can see that she auto-corrected those questions. I can change that also. You can also add pictures to your questions when you are there. You can also upload a video of one of your videos on Google Drive. So it's your own video and you can edit it. The great thing about editing your own videos is the fact that you can add voiceovers. And if you don't have time for that, you can pick a video from another teacher on Edpuzzle. You can pick a video from YouTube, Khan Academy, National Geographic, TED Talks. crash course, whatever you like. All of that for free. But the trick is that you are only allowed 20 free videos. After that, you need to invite other teachers to give you more storage space without affecting their storage space. You can also do what? You can also delete previous content. So I have this content. I have, for example, 20 videos. I need a new video, just delete one of the old videos so you can always start fresh. Now, when it comes to gradebooks, this is fantastic. Now, you can see who watched the video, the percentage of watching the video. Did they escape questions? By the way, skip questions. By the way, you can force them to answer the questions. It's up to you, entirely up to you. Now you will get all of their names, the grades, the percentage of watching, and you can export that to Google Classroom with one click. You can set the date, the start date, the due date, the minutes, the hour, everything within Edpuzzle, and within one click, you are there in Google Classroom. Now, how do I integrate my Google Classroom with Edpuzzle? You go to My Classes, click on My Classes, then the plus sign, then I'll pick a class, and the class name is, Connect LMS Classes, immediately Google Classroom. I'll have all my classrooms here, and here's my class. And then I need to get the grade level, and then the subject, and then import a class, and your class is there. As simple as that. And when you assign them something, you will find it there without any trouble. And the subject, and import a class, and you will find your classroom there. And it's there, my class is there. Now I need to assign something for them. Okay, I'm terribly sorry for taking so much time, terribly sorry for that. Now, the thing is that you can use my Google Slides for tutorials, everything is hyperlinked. Last thing to say about Edpuzzle is you can export your gradebook to Edpuzzle, or you can, with one click, download it into your PC. The content is always there, easy to navigate. You can take from others, and I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Sorry, but I'm very sorry for taking so much time. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much for the valuable information. Now, at the end of this interesting seminar, on my behalf, on the member of the Department of the English, I'd like to thank all the participants in this seminar and all those who were patient to attend and listen for our topics. We hope that we will meet in other scientific seminars soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Okay, thank you, goodbye.